scope. Now, one last thing I wanted to warn about is just basically to say, don't get too excited. We did not at all finish learning everything we need to know to make basic C++ programs. There is still a lot missing, and making programs with all you know right now comes out to be a pretty dumb way of making it. I'm saying this because I have a very brilliant viewer who went on the forums and made an amazing program with the console program project, with which you can like walk around different rooms, pick up different items, and fight with different monsters or something like that. And I was pretty impressed by how this viewer made do with whatever he knew about C++, whatever we learned until now, because in truth is, like I said, we by all means we do not know enough at all to be able to make real cool sense-making stuff in C++ yet. And let me explain a little bit about how this viewer made his room system. I'm just going to mention the point at which I'd like to highlight. There was a function which was called something like enter room, which I'll declare right over here, void enter room. And the way it worked was, let's go see the definition. Basically, inside the enter room function, different stuff would happen. I just replaced that with the ellipsis right over here. And at some point, if the program decided, then the player would enter the room. Now, at first glance, this could look a little weird, a little confusing, when you are inside the enter room function and you are calling the function enter room. But in C++, this is supported. This is valid C++ code. It is called recursive. When you're inside a function and you're calling that very same function, you are making that function recur itself inside of itself. So while this system works very nicely so that you can enter from one room to a different room by calling this same function again from inside the same function, and like I said, I was pretty impressed with the way this viewer made his program, and I successfully wandered around the virtual map of all the rooms, going from one room to the other room by calling this recursive function. However, let me explain what really happens over here, because in a real program, when we're going to learn a few more techniques about programming, you'll see that this is not at all the way to go. Inside your computer's CPU, which probably does not look like this, but I'm just using this image as an example, you have different parts, as you see right over here, and these different parts take care of different aspects of running your program. One of these parts will probably take care of reading the instructions, reading through your code. Another part probably takes care of putting stuff in system memory and then taking stuff back from system memory. And one of these parts will be keeping track of which function are we inside and which function did we come from and stuff like that. Here's a little demonstration about how it would pretty much work. At the beginning of the program, as we enter the main function, this part of the CPU will remember that we are inside the main function, and it'll probably store that in system memory for the meanwhile. Next, as the program goes on and we go into a function probably which is called do stuff or something, then this same piece of the CPU will remember that from the main function we went on to do stuff function, and it will probably also keep track about what variables we passed in as parameters and how many bytes each one of them are in size. But forget about that part for now. Right now we're going to continue our program. As we continue the program and we call this other function do more stuff, we add that to our list of functions that we are inside. As soon as the function do more stuff finishes, so we're done with this part of the list, we delete that and we go back to wherever we were inside the do stuff function. Because of course we learned, as you remember, that when functions are called, then the program just executes whatever is inside that function, and then when the function is finished, we come right back to where we came from. So in a big program, of course, you're going to go many levels deep inside, piling up functions one on top of the other, and then slowly but surely as the program finishes, when each function returns, we slowly but surely go back to the beginning until ultimately we're by the main function and we finish the program. However, if the program is made in such a way that it will recursively call a function again and again and again without stopping to return back to where we came from once in a while, at some point you risk the problem of running out of memory, because for each time you call the function inside of the same function, we have to use up again a little more memory to remember that we are inside this function, which is inside this other function, which is inside this other function, etc., etc., etc. As a matter of fact, Visual Studio has a visualizer for this function tracker. As you see right over here, this is the main function which starts the program, and after a while of playing this game, I have 50 calls to the enter function piled up one on top of the other, because all we were doing the whole time is going inside of a function, inside of a function, inside of a function, without ever returning out of those functions as the program goes on. And that is simply because, like I said before, there is still a lot of very basic C++ things which I didn't teach yet, and without those different stuff, those different functionalities, the only way you could make such a game where you go from one room to another, etc., is just by pretty much doing it this way. But stay tuned for future videos where we'll learn the real way how to go about doing such things, when we will learn about global variables, pointers, and references.